Okay, wonderful. Okay, I believe I'm live. Hello, everyone from all over the world, all time zone. My name is Oliver. I'm actually talking to you in Irvine, California, Southern California. I was thinking the chat itself, I wonder if I could just copy the name Fireplace Chat. One of the reasons is you can imagine that in Irvine, it's almost summer, but still it's in the low 60s. That's the high in 50s at night. Yes, the weather is changing. That's why I actually turn on a heater, so just make it a bit warm. You could probably also see that I'm dressed almost like winter. I didn't wear this clothes until I traveled to Alaska, and on those ices, even it was like June, Alaska, it was still a little bit chilly. So that's when I first wore this clothes. So now I am good, but no problem. I was actually looking for cloud and rain for a long time, right? Either Californians living in Southern California, I haven't really seen rain for the past maybe 10, 12 years. So rain is very precious here. Maybe unlike some other part of the world. If you're in Belgium, Netherlands, or in Seattle, which is in my same time zone, yeah, we love rain. So I still enjoy. That's also probably the spirit of mindfulness. Um, I'd like to call it a chat um, because in my mind, live streaming is supposed to be relaxed in just a chat with a group of friends who may share the same kind of hobby or interest. In here, of course, is mindfulness. This channel is conscious together. You actually can go conscious together.com to look at three of mindfulness uh, fans. Let's say Lauren, Holiday, Avanti, and myself, Oliver. We uh, opened this channel. So we all have been benefited from mindfulness a lot. And of course, we want to spread it so that more people can benefit from it. What is mindfulness? I think it's always makes sense to share a little bit on that definition and what that means to you. If you go checking different websites, institutions, there may be some different type of definition. Some may say it's a moment by moment awareness of the different dimensions of ourself. Let's say our body sensations, the thoughts that's going on, emotions that are there in the mind, and also maybe some impulse of taking actions of behavior like that. Keep it in moment to moment awareness of that. And especially through a gentle, nurturing lens. This is almost one of the standard definition of mindfulness. Um, Mindfulness, I also like to share one other perspective, which is also often seen in different classes from teachings of different teachers. Mindfulness is to see things as they really are. What does that mean? This one statement itself actually worth, I don't know, maybe a whole library of books and research papers to cover. So I'm not here to scare anyone. We're not researchers. You don't have to be. I wasn't. Research maybe not even that much regarding mindfulness on the academic side. But seeing things that really are, we can explain in a very simple way. I have my phone here. This phone here, if you look at it, we call it a phone. But what is a phone, right? We all know it's a bunch of uh, electronic components or structural housing or board are supporting that, right? If we just dismantle that, if you just look at in the assembly line before this phone is assembled, it's all those uh, components or different parts that come from different sources. It was put together. We call it a phone. This doesn't mean that having a general concept of an item is anything wrong. It's not. It provides us with lots of convenience, right? Like this bookshelf behind me, same thing, right? I call it bookshelf. I don't call it boards, wood boards, or metal parts or whatever, screws and all those. I don't have to say that. Otherwise, it's endless description. Even you just open your mouth and try to communicate and say one thing. So there is a function, there is a natural beauty, let's say, of it. But however, is it true? Is it truly a phone? And if you just put a little thoughts on that, maybe not, right? We can continue to dismantle this phone, right? On the screen, for example, it's a piece of glass and with electronic circuits. And then you continue. There's a piece of glass, or maybe with some kind of metal, right? Because you need conductor on that. And but then you continue and all the way to what we know today, like of course items. And if you know a bit more about modern physics, there are particles that scientists were able to find. Many, I believe, all of those particles are not only very small, but they exist in a very short period of time. If we put it to second, I think many of them is generated, exist, and then disappear in just about 10 to the power of minus 26, right? It's all those. I'm pretty confident that if scientists can go further, that they probably will find some more amazing or surprise thing, that even those kind of particles are probably not as true as we think. Let's say as true as this phone, right? We can call them particle, but they're something. Yeah, I think this is not a physics class. It's not even a philosophy class, right? Practicing mindfulness, we get benefit from it because when we look at things, we're not coming to a conclusion that to that fact, right? To what it really is. Uh, I've already said there is benefit just to call it a name, but in the meantime, there are um, other thoughts or other emotions that can cause even by define that that way, right? We define that a phone, maybe there's some thing coming up. Because today we want to talk about uh, a little bit on workplace. Let's just use an example of the word boss, right? You probably can even close your eyes and thinking about by hearing the word boss, what comes to your mind? Well, in general, like for me, for a very long time, I thought boss. Of course, there's a more specific bosses that worked for a boss or bosses that worked for uh, come into my mind, and of course there are those that I really really respect, and actually some of them were praised, like the CEO of the country. Yeah, pretty successful to our, if we look at a career or growing of a business, very, very successful, that I respect a lot. However, when I think about him, um, I always thought he's perfect, right? He knows, if not everything, he knows a lot, right? When you talk to him, he almost, I should say, you almost know everything, technical, business, philosophy, etc. And some, maybe some of them are, opinions, like his maybe view on uh, uh, religion, philosophy, but still enough for you to respect a lot. But one thing I think I was wrong, and then I was not able to correct that over a long period of time, is that I thought he didn't need, because he's so perfect, he didn't need help, right? I also see that as a reason that, like myself, was not, let's use successful in keeping that relationship that's needed. Sometimes I think it's referred to as an upward management, or management may mean different things to different individuals or in different culture. But in the culture that I was from, that Chinese language at that time, is actually means taking care of your management or your bosses, meeting their needs or respect, and even respect their weaknesses, right? Weaknesses is not something that um, for you to pick and then compare, right, from an ego point of view, but it's something that it exists, um, and then you have your respect, and then you know what you do. To be very honest, that's not something that I was able to do good. So, but here today in this chat, reason I was using this example is this is not something that really is, right? When we say the bosses are, strong mind, very strong mind, uh, capable, all those good words that win our respect. But in the meantime, it's not 100% true, right? So yeah, I was just using these two examples um, to show, my definition, or it's not my definition. It's one perspective I'd like to look at what mindfulness is. Oftentimes, if not always, we look at things not truly as they are. Right? Somebody said something. What is true then? Maybe the only thing that's true. Well, let's not to go to that the analysis of the phone all the way to the smallest particle that we know. Just to stop somewhere. Let's say somebody said something to us, and then depending on what is already pre configured in the mind, because that time we could have some emotions, we could have some bias on this person, and there could be all possibilities. But when we heard something, or maybe there's accumulation of different memories already, right? When he or she said something, you tend to maybe get angry, and this kind of reaction, mm, in the perspective of mindfulness, is not necessary, because it's not true, right? The only thing that happened is this person said something, right? Of course, if you look at uh, from a physics point of view, uh, there's just a sound, um, in the air, and the air formed some pressure in our ear, the part of the ear that sensing and listening, this kind of vibrations, and get into our brain, our nerves and brain, and we process it, and then all these what happened later is really depending on the way that we process it, right? Again, not true. Not true. This is against the spirit of mindfulness, right? We're not seeing things as they are, right? This is the definition. And of course, today is about MBCT dash L, to be exact. Mindfulness, modern mindfulness, has been around for let's say 40 or even longer time, some years, right? And all those great figures that they have brought the mindfulness idea of mindfulness, some being great Buddhist masters, some had their root. They spent time meditating in these uh, ancient Buddhism countries, came back to US, brought all those back. There are great figures on that. And modern mindfulness, one of the figure that's definitely one of the great one is John Kabat-Zinn, who started this mindfulness stress reduction, which is the root. These 8-week courses are the root for many of the later branches. CT, cognitive therapy. Um, well, forgive me, I'm not a psychologist. I've read articles. If there's anything that's not accurate, you could let me know. So, but cognitive therapy among different psychology branches, uh, they're relatively new. Right? We had that on more the later time, maybe a couple of decades. And of course, there are those more the traditional classic, like the Floyd or Jung. But this cognitive therapy is, to my understanding, close to the mindfulness idea, because it's look at an observation on different dimensions of ourself, right? We can look at, again, our body sensations or emotions or impulses, the thoughts and the mind. By being cognitive on that, it actually can recognize those patterns that, uh, let's say, do harm to our mental health and or even the physical health, because body and mind are actually hard to be totally separated, right? We can see this through our uh, later trainings and meditation. So these are cognitive therapists or psychologists, Mark William, John Tisto, they introduced this mindfulness or the mindfulness based stress reduction into the cognitive therapy and formed this MBCT, so mindfulness based cognitive therapy. And of course, this originally formed as a means or enhancement in its effectiveness uh, to enhance mental health, or maybe to more cope with the depression, anxiety, and actually maybe depression, to be more specific. Right? If you look at articles or papers by one of them by William Kaiken, published on the Lancet magazine, um, you could see that using medication as compared to use mindfulness practice means has the same trend to prevent the relapse of depression to happen. We all know that for depression, if you use medication, it looks not hard actually to remove some of the symptoms, and looks like you're good, you're well, right? You're recovered, you're cured. However, the relapse happen very often. And so if you look at those curves on that paper, you could see it's the same trend. And in terms of effectiveness, that study, that research even showed that the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy did a better job, right? And maybe there are different exceptions and depending on the individuals, but just in general, it worked out pretty good. So this is MBCT. And of course, I think this is a similar to the recent centuries history of psychology. Well, psychology more focused at those who have like mental diseases, for lack of a better word. And later on, of course, there's Abraham Maslow, more focused on how we can achieve on the positive side, right? Enhance well-being and maybe even be more preventive instead of just focusing on somebody who already got an issue, and then you try to right? You try to let's say rescue, try to find a cure for that. And that's also look at MBCT after very successfully like coping with these depressions, anxieties. It expanded into our day-to-day life. The goal is to enhance well-being, of all populations. Right? It's I guess if we look at if you look at from a marketing point of view, it's a addressable population, addressable market. Uh, is actually all the population who those who diagnose with these issues like a depression, or those just are not diagnosed, just in general. So this is MBCT for life. This is a bit what is origin. Um, I also want to chat a little bit, right, after this introduction to what is MBCT workplace. Right? The reason I'm choosing this period of time is I'm on the west coast of United States, so time zone is new. Maybe if you are in the same time zone, it's lunchtime. But we in business we always have this lunch and learn, and sometimes when we eat lunch we want to be somewhere that's for us, a place that's for us, a space that's for us. So I hope if you are in the time zone, you're having lunch, um, I just do some light chat here, so that you either focus listening to me or just put something like a radio next to you, that could help you to get relaxed, and eating a lunch that would be very good. Of course, you could be in other time zone. If in Europe it's already uh, sort of late in the late at night, or late evening, and even our west coast U.S. could is three is late afternoon also. But wherever you are, hope by just listening to this chat, you get relaxed, or maybe just get an impression on what is mindfulness, what is MBCT, um, or what is this channel is looking for, what uh, you know uh, is our dream for three of us. And of course, it definitely will not be limited to three of us. It will be we expect many in joining in different ways, right? Maybe here to uh, teach, talk, listening, different kinds of support. We're looking at also definitely a community, a sangha, if you will, if we use a Sanskrit word. Yeah, but anyways, workplace is something. The reason I'm mm, have this focus, have this in mind is over my you know life so far. Most of the time, that I've been working in bigger corporate, Fortune 1,000, let's say, as management, as well as small firms. I even had chance funding some of the business like for twice. So because workplace is for modern society is unavoidable, even right. Sometimes you're in a physical office, sometimes you're in your home office. Maybe more now after the COVID. Um, it's still connected as a workplace, right? That's most part of our life, and maybe considering your commute, that's almost half of the time, right? Of course, we all need sleep. If you take that out, that could be the majority of lots of people. So it's important topic in the workplace. How we uh, let's see what the best word to use. How we get most of it, maybe, right? I often hear this over my business talk, that most of it. Um, but of course, it starts with how we let's see how we look at a workplace. Workplace is changing. Let's say uh, when I was in Canada, I had a friend who was from Oshawa, Ontario. It's a city. It's actually a industrial city too. It's an industrial city outside of Toronto. There is a huge GM, General Motors factory over there. He was telling me that people in his town call GM, General Motors, as generous motors. Because why? If in a family, like let's say 4, 5 people family, if one work there, your salary, your pay is enough to support everything, right? Your house, your car, your travel, your whatever, medical, I believe, everything. You live a very, at least money wise, from the monetary support wise, good life, even just to have one person from the family working by then. And maybe it was more important, it lasts a long time, right? You almost look, yeah, I don't know, 10, 20 years of those, or even longer. And I think maybe many of us, at least still, friends that you just work on one job for life, and then the next thing is you cultivate your um, son or maybe daughter, your children to take that job, continue that, right? Maybe many of us think, "Whoa, that's so good," right? Because your job security, life is stable. However, that's not the case anymore. But I believe even by then, that's not the case for everyone, right? Here in U.S. or Canada, maybe that was happening in many of the big factories, manufacturing. But the rest of the world in that time, maybe somewhere it was just war going on, or economic crisis going on. It could be anything, right? Like pandemic maybe going on too in different places, right? That's why even just use one slice of time, um, everyone's experience could be different, right? But for today, if we look at today, the work, I'll just use myself as example. My work changed actually quite a bit. Yeah, honestly, quite a bit. There are still people who worked for much longer time in one company, but I do see more people like myself. Sometimes it's definitely not over your control, right? Sometimes you maybe just fire your boss and just leave and take a new position, or or just go somewhere else, give a different try. But in general, it's not in your control. So because so many things are changing, right? If you look at today's AI, maybe over many years, a uh, stock trader is a very good position, right? You make good money, although maybe you need to, you also take some workload, as well as anxiety caused by those. But you make good money, and the work position may last very long time. But if you look at today's AI, and right, if you even look at some of these, used to be big square of booth, that each one sit there making phone calls or yelling. Those are not there anymore, right? It's changed. It's AI. Maybe these AIs today is continues changing the landscape of job. The point is, it's not permanent. It's not permanent, right? So if you look at this, like from myself, that's also something that um, caused me thinking about, what does this mean to me, right? We tried so hard uh, to make it, to hold it, try to make it not change at all, but things still change, right? What this is for me. Maybe in the meantime, if you're listening to this, you can also think about that, right? What what's the meaning? What does it make sense? As a workplace, right? I thought about it. Maybe this is more like my conclusion. Um, it's for individuals' personal growth, right? Make this place a place and opportunity for your personal growth. No matter what role you are, you could even be the founder, right? You could be the founder. Even those changes, right? If you look at Steve Jobs was fired, although he was the founder of Apple, right? I think he was kind of complaining in a very maybe funny, maybe cynic way, for just lack of a better word. uh, I'm fired by my own company, that I founded, right? Isn't that kind of a little bit ironic? But it's happened. It's still happening. Right? You could be the owner, you could be the founder, you could be the all the big shareholders in the meantime, senior management, or middle level of management, or just somebody just work there, uh, not in a management position, right? Um, but um, definitely still, or it makes more sense to me today. I think it makes perfect sense, makes ultimate sense if you look at that as an opportunity, uh, or look at that as a place or opportunity for your personal growth, right? If you look at that way, because there are opening, closing of a business, there are promotions, demotions, hiring and firing. Uh, if mentioning that, it could be in a different in a hiring or firing uh, thing that happened. It could be on either side, right? It could. I did my hiring and firing too. In the meantime, um, I had to leave in some of the occasions also, right? All these things that happened, if we look at that as an opportunity for your personal growth, then that makes perfect sense, because definitely for to grow, you not only need uh, nurturing, water, sunshine, but you shall be able to withstand storms and snow. I think I'm by when talking about this, I'm picturing a small tree, let's say. Right, you need your nurture, sunshine, water, all the good weather, and in the meantime, you should be able to stand all the storms. That makes you a plant, right? Otherwise, it's what? If you can't stand, for example, then you're dead. You're just a piece of wood and decay over time and become dirt again, right? It's no more a live life. So
Yeah, look, I think looking that way um, helps everyone. Uh, um, just looking at a very healthy perspective, right? And in the meantime, all the works, all the jobs that makes a lot more sense. And of course, this is only from a mm, self benefit point of view. I say, how can I? This is not selfish. Self benefit is not selfish. I know in many teachings, like in different religions, let's say, or even in the society, family values, we always value that let's benefit others, altruism. But in the meantime, this is this is a topic I'd love to explore over time. So keep watching our channel. Of course, um, as a YouTuber now, I highly encourage that you subscribe and share. Right, turn on that alert, and that will not only help us to spread, that will help yourself and help many more people to know all these good things we're trying to spread, right? uh yeah, where where I was, um I don't, maybe not so used to doing this kind of commercial, all these things and advertisement. But anyways, back to why a workplace, how a workplace can make more sense to you. This is not selfish. This is because just like the example, when you're in an airplane, you could see the broadcast, and you could hear the broadcast about if the cabin uh, loses its pressure, and the oxygen mask. You need to put the oxygen mask for yourself on before helping others. I was quite shocked when I first, on the airplane here, my first time on the airplane, I heard this broadcast. Wow, okay. And then, over these many years, I found it's definitely make sense. And sometimes, honestly, let's say even that you think that you are doing these things or saying a word to benefit others, to help others, you may need to ask yourself, is it really? Right? I probably would use a family example at this time. If you ask your child to study or to eat or be quick, right? Because there's not that much time. I need to send you to school before I can go to work. Weigh that, weigh that uh, percentage. Which one is more? Getting the kids to school or trying not to be late for work, right? Especially that moment that you're already kind of mad or irritated, and you really try to get things done, right? Get the kids to the car. Maybe, I don't know, 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. That's more for yourself. That's more for yourself. So yeah, this is the point I'm trying to make. Sometimes we think it's for others, but it's actually for ourselves. And for some of the things, this is actually may look a little bit of selfish and not to helping others, but it actually may be the case. This face, this oxygen mask example, uh, and here, the one that I just mentioned. Right? Take care of yourself. Then, if you calm down, um, you have this confidence. Then the way that you talk, or maybe the words itself, can be much more helpful to others, right? Calming down, probably not even by saying anything, and you are helping others. I guess back to your main topic today, mindfulness, I don't mind, or please don't mind, start with helping yourself, right? Then, then you're definitely more ready to help others, or maybe you are already helping others yourself. Okay, this is maybe the few things I want to share or chat with everyone. Hopefully, it makes sense. Um, However, you may ask, um, how, right? You mentioned all these benefit of mindfulness, but how? Let me tell you, it's simple, right? I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple. The simple side is, right, you always have this ability. Just need to discover it, and you always have these tools, right? And again, just to practice, right? The not easy part is more about how to cultivate a habit, right? It's really more about habit. If you check more on the what's going on in the mind, any negative thing is really more some of the habit. Uh, or in today's computer world, maybe it's a kind of algorithm or the way that you process it. So yeah, maybe with all these said, let's just try a little bit of practice, and see how that helps. Hopefully, you already finished your lunch, and I'm going to guide a short sitting meditation. Um, we may need the eyes closed or lower gaze, so that if you are driving or operating any machines, please watch. You don't have to follow that. Make sure you're safe. And this guidance is really more for you. You are in somewhere on a chair, or maybe even sitting like myself on the floor on a cushion. Um, that's more for that. Yeah. So again, please make sure that you're safe. Okay, let's just adjust our sitting position a little bit, making sure our spine is straight yet not tight. Relax. If you are sitting on a chair, leave the back of the chair so that our body support itself. If your 2 feet are on the ground, also making sure they're grounded. And you can even feel a little bit of the feet touching the ground. Our 2 hands can just rest naturally anywhere from your 2 knees, your laps, or you may even cross them in front of your abdomen. As I said, lower your gaze, either looking at 45 degrees to the floor or maybe your desk. Or you can close them totally, again, if you are safe to do so. Just sit a little bit. We may, especially in the workplace, so used to have a to-do list, thinking if we cross 1, 2, 3, or many of them, things will become better. Is that really the case? This is called driven doing mode. Okay, please don't misunderstand that mindfulness is not against productivity. Mindfulness is not letting you lying on beach 365 days a year. Mindfulness is know what's going on. Mindfulness is see things as they really are. So let's just start with watch our breath. Or breathe in and breathe out. Maybe unavoidably while we watch our breath, our minds start to wander everywhere. If that's the case, it is perfectly okay. The reason is this is how our brain works. We absolutely don't have to stop thinking. Notice it, gently bring your attention back to the breath. If you are familiar with mindfulness practice, this is maybe nothing new to you. But in mindfulness practice, do we need anything new? If this is new to you, you may be thinking, this is too simple. I breathe every day. I know how to breathe. If you are thinking this, I'd like you to, after this practice, maybe spend some time Googling why this simple breath practice can create results that scientists have found different part of our brain has actually been changed by practice like this. And of course, even without the scientists proof, you probably can find that you're calming yourself down. Or after this, you are able to see things more clear, or more as what they really are. Okay, if you were watching your tip of nose, your nostril, Maybe you could also try watch your abdomen. As we breathe, the abdomen rises and falls. Same way, if there are thoughts that appears in our mind, or maybe even some emotions, your feelings, notice them. Gently bring our attention or our awareness back to watching our breath. Okay, that's the end of our short practice. I have a bowl here. Let's see how the sound it makes for you. I know through this microphone. I actually am not quite sure, but let's. Maybe not the best knock that I had, but yeah. Let's see if there are questions that I received. Actually, I do have one question here. Um, what is an ideal workplace? Ideal workplace does not exist. Maybe I was joking. So if anyone knows Dennis Martriano, she's very known on the field of mindful leadership because she was from the corporate world, also serving as vice president. Anyways, she has this definition of mindful leadership. I guess my point is, an ideal workplace is somewhere that you have one or multiple mindful leaders. Mindful leaders has this definition. Dennis has this FCCC, 1F, 3C. The F is for focus. The C's, let's see, it's clarity, compassion, and the creativity. Well, each of them, I think, means a lot, but I think compassion is something that today's workplace needed. Well, again, maybe let's also look at it from the other perspective. I think all of a sudden I thought of JFK's famous speech that, like, thinking not what the country do for you. Just look at what you can do for the country. I think if you have the mindfulness in mind, or with some training, with some, let's say, mindful muscles, anywhere could be a better workplace, or you can actually contribute by yourself to turn it into, or at least, the people or things around to be a better workplace, right? We can do our own contribution too. The trick is maybe come over, watch more, and let's do mindfulness practice together, right? Be conscious together. Okay, I think that's come to an end of this hours of live chat with everyone. Um, Again, be sure to subscribe, share, turn on the alert. Okay, thank you very much. Bye. Have a great rest of your day.